What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media. And today is the 53-man roster day. So right now, the deadline has been hit. 53-man rosters are reportedly, this is when they all have to have been made. Now, some of the Ravens cuts are yet to be announced. So if they are announced, I'll keep everybody updated. But I just want to go through, all of the different cuts and talk with all of you guys, and what you guys think. So, kind of the first thing that, we should look at is, I think the quarterback position. But, I see Don C's in here. How you doing, Don C? What's going on? Normally I don't stream on weekdays, so it's a little bit different. It's probably the first time ever streaming on a weekday, so it's a little bit interesting. But, welcome in anybody who's joining the stream. If you guys have any players that you want to talk about, whether they made the team or didn't make the team, we can definitely talk about those players. But, the first thing is that Trace Mcsorley has been cut. If you guys didn't see that. So just something to keep your eye on is that the Ravens are rocking only 2 quarterbacks. And Trace Mcsorley, if he clears waivers, I expect him to be on the practice squad. But as of right now, it's only a 2 quarterback team with Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley. So congrats to Tyler Huntley for making the team and beating out Trace Mcsorley and beating him out convincingly. I don't think if Tyler Huntley hadn't played as well as he did, I think the Ravens do keep Trace Mcsorley as well. But because Tyler Huntley really stood out, they were able to say, you know what, we're confident in him going out there and doing what he needs to do. So, very good job by Tyler Huntley to do that. But, there's a ton of players that we can talk about. So, I'll try and not be too sporadic. I see Abdi's in here. How you doing, Abdi? But, if anybody ever has any player that you want us to talk about, let's go for it. But Don C says, good. I'm glad you're streaming. Need football, more football feeds. As I'm excited I was going to stream. I had kind of thought about it a few days ago, and I was like, I wonder if I streamed at the deadline. And I didn't know when the deadline was. And I kind of just woke up today and was like, when's the deadline? And I was like, oh, wow, it's at 4 p.m. That's typically when I release a video. And I was like, I actually put out a poll on the YouTube channel. I was like, hey, should I stream or should I make a video? And I think it was at 50% the last time I checked. And I was like, all right, let's do it. But, we'll see how it goes. And also, in addition to the Ravens players that have been cut, I'm completely okay with talking about other players that have been cut and potential players that maybe people want the Ravens to bring in. I see Abdi Hassan says, bring back Mark Ingram. And then Jay Will says, I see Dez Fitzpatrick got cut. If you guys didn't know, Dez Fitzpatrick, he was drafted by the Titans. They traded, I want to say, 3 draft picks up to get him in the draft. 6'2" wide receiver out of Louisville. I liked him coming out of the draft, but he didn't end up making the team. So maybe the Ravens go after him because, we're yet to know what they're doing at the wide receiver spot. They haven't released a lot of information. All I've seen is that Jalen Moore did not make the team. They're yet to release a lot of that information. So that's, going to be very interesting to see. But how you doing, Yolanda? I'm excited too. We are ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yolanda's in on bringing back Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram's is interesting. I don't know what his situation with the Texans is. I haven't been following that very well, but depending on what they want to do with David Johnson and Mark Ingram, I don't know if he gets cut. There possibly. I don't know how in I am on bringing back Mark Ingram, but Robert Jackson says bring back my guy Alex Collins. Alex Collins, the Irish dancer, the Irish jig dancer, the end zone dance specialist. Really, he's in Seattle right now. However, I don't know if he's going to end up making that team. So, if he does end up getting cut, we shall see. I think the Ravens are definitely looking at players that they could bring into the team and see, who they could get, because obviously they cut Nate McCrary. So, as of right now, the running backs, I don't expect it to change, is, Gus, Tyson, and Justice Hill. So then McCrary likely practice squad guy, which I said in the first video I ever talked about Nate McCrary, I was like, practice squad guy could end up making the team later in the year. But J. Rum says Cam Newton. Cam Newton was an interesting one. Cam Newton cut by the New England Patriots. Cam Newton is one of the best, arguably the perfect backup in the NFL. Now, I don't think he's a great backup for the Ravens, okay? I'm not saying that. However, Cam Newton would be a very solid backup for most teams in the NFL because he can go in and bring you like a dynamic piece of the offense. And also, like, come on, if you get to like 4th and 1 or something like that, you can sub in Cam Newton if you have any other quarterback and be like, hey, you want to rush for this first down for us? Because, put him in a QB sneak or something like that. Go with they used to run the Panthers power all the time in Carolina and just have Cam Newton just running up the middle. He could absolutely do that. But Alex Baldwin says Trace is gone. Yes, Trace Mcsorley is gone. Hopefully the Ravens can bring him back to the practice squad. However, there's a chance that he doesn't end up or he does end up getting claimed by waivers because he was decent as a backup player when the Ravens had gone after him. So I'm very interested to see what you guys think about Trace. Like, do you think he's going to get picked up by anybody else, or are the Ravens going to have him on the practice squad? Daniel Carlson brings up that Lamar Jackson, the Jets defensive back, got cut. Yes, I think he was undrafted, or he was like a 7th-round pick by the Jets last year. I think he started in about 6 games. Didn't end up making the team. He wasn't very good. But, his name's Lamar Jackson, so of course we got to bring him up. I see Kimberly. How you doing? What are your thoughts on this cut day? Rashad says go Ravens. Absolutely. Jones in altitude says Trace for the practice squad for sure. Yeah, if he's not picked up off waivers, I definitely think he's on the practice squad. YPC asks, do you think cutting Ben Mason would keep for running backs? I don't think that makes a difference in the running back core. I didn't expect Ben Mason to make the team when he was drafted. I expect him to be a practice squad guy. I think that's what their goal was for him, was to be on the practice squad. And next year when Ricard leaves, then plug him in. But, if somebody really good ends up becoming available that really fits the system, I saw Abdi said that he hopes that the Ravens sign Le'Veon Bell. Like, if the Ravens really value a player like that, then I think they'll go after him. But I don't really think that the Ravens will be keeping 4 running backs unless somebody really good gets cut and we can see. So, I don't think the Ben Mason cut really affects the running back spot. I just wasn't expecting him to make the team. So, it's interesting the way that they try to do that because he probably would have gone undrafted, but Harbaugh loves his Michigan guys. Don C asks, Ben Powers at left guard, not good. Do you think they aren't believing in Ben Cleveland, or is the Harbaugh and starting rookies thing? I really think that starting on the offensive line early in your career is very difficult unless you are a very early pick. Typically like a 1st-round pick is really the only time that you'll see like an offensive lineman come in and win that job outright, especially in a Raven system that's very difficult to learn. So I think there's a chance that Ben Cleveland by week 6, week 7 or something like that becomes the starter. It's just, I don't see him as the player that, comes in week 1 and is able to just bully everybody. Now, Ben Powers, not amazing. We traded Ben Bredeson, very solid trade in my opinion. I think we gave up a 7th and we gave up a 5th to give the Giants 4th, but the 5th was the Kansas City Chiefs pick from the Orlando Brown Jr. trade. A lot of different numbers going on in my head right now, but I think eventually Ben Cleveland will be that guy. It's just very tough for any offensive lineman in the NFL to just start pretty early in that career. So unless they're a 1st-round pick, it's going to take a little bit. And I guess they like Ben Powers. He's decent in the run game. He's not very good in pass protection, but also we have to remember, yes, he was struggling, but at the same time, this is an offensive line where nobody on this offensive line has ever played next to the player they're playing next to. They've never done it. Ronnie Stanley's never played next to Powers. Powers has never played next to Bozeman or Stanley. Bozeman's never played next to, Powers or Zeitler. Zeitler's never played next to Villanueva or Bozeman. So it's very difficult to judge because they've never played together. Normally it's like, oh, you had one guy into the offensive line. This is a completely different unit than we've ever seen the Ravens come out with. But let's see here. Alex Baldwin says 2 quarterbacks this year is going to be awesome for 7 wide receivers. Yeah, as far as I know right now, the Ravens are keeping 7 wide receivers. I haven't seen anything saying that they've cut anybody else. So I was expecting the 2 quarterback system. I didn't know whether or not it would help the wide receiver core, the defensive back group, or the running back group. I figured one of those would get an extra player. So we'd either keep 7 like corners or 7 wide receivers or 4 running backs. Based on what we're seeing, it may be safety as well. I haven't seen anything about Anthony Levine or Geno Stone. I saw Darius Washington is looking pretty good. They cut Nigel Warrior, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm very excited to see when more things come out. To see. I have Twitter up on my screen as well. Trying to see all those tweets and stuff, and hopefully they get released relatively soon. But Robert Jackson asks, why do they do Warrior like that? That just shows how good this team is. It really shows when you cut a player like that played very well and has great size and athleticism and stuff like that. It shows how good the roster is and how tough it is to make this team. You look at Ben Bredeson, was a 4th-round pick last year. You look at Shaun Wade, a 5th-round pick this year. We could not keep them. And they were decent players. Like Ben Bredeson wasn't amazing, but he was a decent depth piece. He couldn't play offensive tackle, even though the Ravens tried to get him to. But, overall, it's just very tough to make this roster. Unless you play at a particular, like running back, it's not as hard to make this. But offensive line and secondary, very tough to make it. So we shall see. How you doing, Exley? I see... Yolanda says Le'Veon Bell would be a great addition for us. There's one thing that I want to think about Le'Veon Bell. I can't remember where I saw it. I think I'm pretty sure I was watching someone's stream. I can't remember who it was. And somebody in the chat said it. It might have been in the Purple Rain podcast. I honestly can't remember. I watch a lot of streams. But somebody said there's no way Le'Veon Bell would go to an Andy Reid guy. And I had never thought about that. But John Harbaugh comes from the Andy Reid coaching tree. And if you didn't know, Le'Veon Bell came out and was like, I would never play for Andy Reid ever again. He hated Andy Reid. So either Le'Veon Bell wouldn't want to go and play for a guy from, the Andy Reid coaching tree, or Harbaugh would look at it and be like, Andy Reid's a great coach. And I think most people would agree. Andy Reid is a fantastic coach. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Why would I want a guy that hates him? My coaching similarities are pretty similar. I learned from this guy. He's my mentor. So while I do like Le'Veon Bell, and I do like the fit in Baltimore, I don't think that the Ravens would bring him in because he's not a very good locker room guy. Talent-wise, yeah, he could probably fit in. However, the locker room and those dynamics are very important, especially in a John Harbaugh offense. This team is all about, being, really close with each other. It's not just work for everybody. Everybody has a good time. And Le'Veon Bell has never seemed like the guy where he plays football because it's fun. He's the guy that's like, I hate everybody. He blew up the Pittsburgh locker room. Him and Antonio Brown kind of blew up the Jets locker room, blew up the Chiefs locker room. So it's very difficult for me to be like, yeah, let's go after Le'Veon just based off of that. Jones in Altitude asks, how did things shake out at wide receiver? So wide receiver is very difficult. They haven't announced all of the moves that they've made yet. The only thing that I've seen is Jalen Moore. Oh, wait, here we go. Okay. Jameson Hensley, 45 seconds ago, has tweeted out the players that they've waived. So the wide receivers that they waived were Benjamin Victor and Jalen Moore, which not surprising. So that means that they didn't waive Miles Boykin, or James Prochet. So that's 7 wide receivers. They terminated the contract for the following vested veterans: Anthony Levine, Justin Ellis, Pernon Mcfee, Ooh, Pernell Mcfee. Ooh, I didn't see that one. Then they waived the injured players, Deion Kane, Crawford. Reserve is non-football injury, Jawan James. Ben Bredeson was traded. Okay. That's very interesting. So they got rid of Pernell Mcfee. Wow. That's the biggest move that they've made is getting rid of Pernell McFee. Now they got rid of Pernell McFee and Anthony Levine. There's a very good chance that in a week after they, it's a wink kind of cut where they go, oh yeah, we're gonna cut you, and then we'll pick you right back up and you'll be on the team. But like, I'm pretty shocked that they did that with Pernell McFee. I'm not too shocked that they did it with Anthony Levine. He's kind of a lower end roster guy, just a special teams guy. But I'm pretty surprised by that. What do you guys think about that? Pernell McFee being out, yeah, handshake deal. Seen a lot of people saying that. DeRoyal Court says, don't understand why the flex tight end is still there. He just didn't get an opportunity to play very much. And yes, Alex Baldwin, I did say that we would rock 6 wide receivers. My expectation was that we would IR Miles Boykin. Was my expectation. I didn't think Miles Boykin would play this year, but we would like keep him around. So that's what I was kind of thinking. But wow, Pernell McFee getting cut. That's definitely the biggest cut that they've made. Like, because he's a guy that people would try and go after. But I do see from Jamison Hensley that they don't have to clear waivers. They can sign them later once they put Miles Boykin and Rashad Bateman on IR. So once those guys go on IR, also there's a chance that Nick Boyle goes on IR. They just couldn't do it before the 53-man roster because then they can't be put on the team. Emos asked about Geno Stone. Geno Stone, nothing's happened with Geno Stone. He I believe he's made the roster. From everything that I've read, he has made it. So shout out to Geno Stone. He did end up making the team. So, that's very good. Geno Stone, shout out to him. But there's so many comments going through right now. Moss says, do you think Warrior makes the practice squad? If he clears waivers, I do expect him to make the practice squad. I think the Ravens really liked Nigel Warrior, but there's a chance that he doesn't clear waivers. And I don't know if he's a player that needs to clear waivers. I haven't seen anything about whether or not he would, but I expect him to need to clear waivers, and I don't think he will. I expect somebody to pick him up for how he played recently. So it's interesting. Wow, I'm just really shocked by the Pernell McFee thing. That was just pretty surprising. Clint Walker says, I hate to see them cut Benjamin Victor. Benjamin Victor, I think he's just a really solid practice squad guy. I wasn't really expecting him to make the team. On the Ravens 53-man roster prediction video, I said if they IR'd Miles Boykin and then had 7 wide receivers, I expect it to be Victor. However, I said if they had 7 wide receivers, I think it'd be Miles Boykin that ends up making the team. So I don't know. I see why Boykin over Victor. I know we all disrespect Miles Boykin. Miles Boykin didn't get an opportunity this offseason. He was injured. So there's a chance that the Ravens were like, you know what? We saw him early in preseason or early in practice, which they did. And he actually had some pretty good reports that he was playing pretty well. So, they looked at that and said, yes, he's injured, but, overall, maybe there's a chance that he turns into somebody. And also I feel like Boykin has higher trade value because if they can, stash him on the end, overall, maybe they could use him. But Jones in Altitude asks, anyone to the PUP list? I can check and see. The only thing that I've seen is they put Jawan James on the reserve non-football injury list. So, but I don't think they put anybody on the physically unable to perform list so far. They could do it at some point, but I haven't seen anything about that. But yeah, I'm trying to keep up with all this stuff, making sure that I see. Tev Dog says I love Boykin. Yeah, I know. Some people I think we clown on Miles Boykin way too much. I think Miles Boykin is a decent wide receiver. He's just not a number 2 wide receiver like the Ravens were trying to use him as. Like he is a like wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6, and it's like, oh yeah, he's pretty solid for that. It's kind of similar. I was talking to my friend the other day, Matt from the Football Diary. If any of you have ever watched that, we were talking about Brashad Perriman a lot, and we talked about how Brashad Perriman is a guy that when he's on the Ravens, you draft a guy, in the first round, and you expect this guy needs to be a number 1 overall wide receiver. He's got to be like a beast. Brashad Perriman is a number 4 wide receiver. That's his role. He's a decent number 4 wide receiver. But the Ravens tried to use him as like a number 1 or a number 2. And that's what they try to do with Miles Boykin. They try and use him as a number 2, like a featured wide receiver. And that's not really what he can do. However, when it comes to back-end roster spot guys, he's not bad of a guy to have as a wide receiver 6, wide receiver 7. So I'm not too upset about that or anything like that. It's just our overall perception of it is a little bit too low. Or like we have like way too high of expectations for him. Shout out to Royal Court, says smash that like button, y'all. Yeah, let's see how many likes we can get. I see we got like 100 people in here. Shout out to all of you guys in here on a weekday. Normally we stream only on the weekends. So shout out to you guys for coming in. Just on a kind of a random Tuesday. But see, Iron Addict says Trace waived. Yes, Trace Mcsorley. He got waived, and like I said earlier, I just think that Trace wouldn't have been waived if Tyler Huntley hadn't played so well. But because Huntley played so well, they felt, this guy really can be a true backup. Rather than if he had played poorly, I think they would have kept Trace and Tyler. Oh, I see. Oh, wow. DeRoe Court is Joshua. Okay. So that's Joshua. Joshua, what's going on, Joshua? I was like, wait a minute. I saw you say Josh, and I was like, wait, who is it? I was like, okay. I did not make the contention. Okay, so real quick, what's going on, Joshua? How you doing? What are you thinking about this? I was so confused. All right. But yeah. Alex Baldwin, Mcfee's gone. Mcfee doesn't have to clear waivers. So Mcfee can just come back once we IR Rashad Bateman, which we will do. So that's what I expect to happen. And so I see a lot of people saying like I think we're gonna keep Mcfee, Kimberly, Alex. It's going to be like we're gonna bring him back. It's just I was just very surprised that he was the guy that they cut. Because he is a good player. Like, I mean, somebody may offer Mcfee like a good contract, and I guess he may leave, but there's always that chance. But Don C says shout out for an unscheduled stream with 107 people. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to them. Luis, if we are Bateman, when can he be available? I want to say 6 weeks. I want to say is the number that I can think of. I'm pretty sure. So, we'll see. What the Ravens are able to do, but I don't know. It's very interesting to see what the Ravens are going to try and do with that because, possible week 6 or 7, and which is kind of the timeline for his injury. So I think when he can come back from IR is just going to be right about when he's going to be healthy anyway. I don't think it's going to be a situation where it's like Bateman's ready and then they're like, oh, Bateman can't play for 2 more weeks because he was IR'd. I don't think it's that bad. And I want to say we have a bye week 8, because it's after we play the Vikings is the bye week. And I think that's week 7. So there's a chance that he doesn't play until after the bye week just because they're like, hey, extra rest. Or he could play, against the Vikings and then bye week. And then I think it's Browns or Pittsburgh or something like that after the bye week. Not 100% sure. But Clint Walker says they kept Westry. Yes, they did keep Westry. I think it was between Westry and Warrior where the two guys kind of battling it out. And, I liked Westry. I was a big fan of Westry. I just think that speed is so useful to have when you're going up against this. And thank you, Charles, for the clarification. IR is 3 weeks. The pup is 6 weeks. So so Bateman will be able to go, whenever. So like whenever he's healthy, he's gonna be able to play. So IR is 3 weeks. Then the pup is 6 weeks. Okay. And then some weird things popping on my screen. All right, there we go. Shout out to Jameer, I believe. I don't know. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. But, thank you, Jameer. And then also Mcfee, Raven for life. He will be back. Yeah. Mcfee should be back. I fully expect that. And then this is a great question. I'll get to that after. So Joshua says, Western shows a lot of promise with the uncertainty of Jimmy Smith injury. He's a big and physical fast corner. Absolutely. Completely agree with that. But Brett asks, who's the wide receiver 3 to start the season? So I think the top 2 are pretty obvious. Hollywood and Sammy Watkins. And Hollywood started practicing yesterday, I believe. So that's very nice to see. But number 3 wide receiver, I do think it's Devin. Wow, I said Duvernay. Devin Duvernay. I think he's the guy. I think he was the one that they were using the most in the preseason early on. He's shown that he can be. I think he'll just be in the slot to start the season. And then I think that Prochet will probably be the 4. But I don't want to say this because this may upset a lot of people. There's a chance it's Miles Boykin. Now, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. But there's a chance we see Miles Boykin a fair amount early on rather than Duvernay, which I would be very sad about. But the Ravens seem to love Miles Boykin. But yeah, I think it should be Devin Duvernay in my opinion. But I see Robert Jackson says, it's Duvernay. Joshua says it'll be Dev because the amount of playtime he received last year. And they also, talked about how they wanted to provide him with more time. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And the way that they've used him is going in there. Paul Kendrick asks, Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace, I don't think he showed enough to be the number 3 at the start of the year. I think he may be wide receiver 6 at the start of the year. I don't know. It's very difficult to judge where they're going to put Miles Boykin. But even at wide receiver 6, he still has a unique role that he can still fulfill. So it's not like going to be something where it's like, oh, he's a back-end wide receiver, but we never see him. There's going to be situations, the Ravens come out in a 4 wide receiver set. They're going to have Prochet or Tylan out there. Cam Neal, yes, absolutely. He's situational. Him and Prochet, I think, are going to be very situational players. Tylan will be like, oh, we need to go deep. We need to put in Tylan Wallace for a jump ball situation. It's 3rd and 15. It's 3rd and 18. Put in Tylan Wallace, have him go out, and if nobody's open, throw it up for him. Same thing with Prochet. But, overall, it's, it's going to be interesting to see when they come out with their full depth chart and stuff, what exactly they end up doing with the depth chart. But there's a lot of guys that, are interesting. And I see Jamison Hensley say, here are the guys that were on the bubble that did end up making the team. Jalen Ferguson, Justice Hill, Geno Stone, Ardarius Washington, Tristan Colon Castillo, and Chris Westry. Those were the bubble guys. So, overall, pretty solid stuff. Also, 140 people in here. Shout out to you guys. That's a lot of people coming in on, right now. So, for all the people that joined, we're just talking about any players that you guys want us to talk about. It doesn't even technically have to be a Ravens player. If you think, oh, this guy got cut, what would you think if the Ravens picked them up? You can bring up. We can definitely talk about them as well. I see Christopher says trade in the works with all these picks. Still potential adding Ertz. Thoughts on Baltimore maybe adding Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard. I don't think the Ravens are going to be adding Zach Ertz just because he makes a lot of money. I want to say he's on a $10 million contract. And, overall, I think that's something that, we have to look at is say like, oh, wow, that's a lot of money for a guy that would be tight end 3 on the roster. And Josh Oliver played very well. Jordan Howard is not a name I hear very often, but I don't think Jordan Howard is exactly what the Ravens are looking for. He can catch the ball. However, he's still somebody that is kind of an up the middle type running back. And so I think somebody more on the, higher pass catching end is somebody at running back. If the Ravens were to add one, they would go after. But that's what I would think. But let's see here. I see. Ooh, wait. Brett says Prochet plays like AB. I said what I said. AB, I can see the AB comparison actually. My first thought was a post catch Odell Beckham Jr. So basically, other than after the catch, which Odell Beckham Jr. excels at, is very good once he catches the ball. James Prochet, I felt like was very similar to Odell in the way that he attacked the ball and the way that he ran his routes and stuff like that. I compared that to Odell, but he's obviously missing out on the post catch, which is what helps make Odell like really special in terms of talent and things like that. But DJ asks, where's the 53-man roster at? So the roster, basically, what they've announced all of the cuts that they've made. So it's all about, just they don't have the depth chart out yet. So I don't know when they're releasing their depth chart. It may be today. It may be in a week. I literally do not know when the depth chart will be out. But when they release that depth chart, then we'll really get to see where players are ranked. But that's something to keep your mind on. Let's see here. Nana says viewers hit the like button. Yeah, shout out to Nana. Hit the like button. We'll see how many likes we can get. Scrolling up. 9 picks in the first 4 rounds. I'm not mad at it. Yeah, absolutely. And overall, I think that the Ravens really need to utilize the draft because they understand that Lamar Jackson is going to be very difficult to pay a lot of other players. I mean, when you are paying a quarterback a lot of money, which I expect the Ravens to give to Lamar, you need those cheap contracts. And what are the cheapest contracts that can benefit you the most? It's rookie deals. And having a lot of draft picks because they're not going to be able to bring in free agents, it is very necessary. So that's what I think. I think that using the draft to really help this team out is definitely the best way to do it. Because if you ever look at the teams that build their team through a free agency, they don't have success. Like every good team is built through the draft in the NFL because free agents are almost always overpaid when they go to a new team. It's always through the draft. Now you could get one player, like for example, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like they got Tom Brady, right? But like most of that team was drafted there. That's most of that team. Came up through that organization or were like veterans that were on cheaper deals and such. So building through the draft, I'm always for it. I think that's the best strategy to do as long as you know how to draft. And Eric DeCosta has shown that he actually does know how to do that. Alex Baldwin says Keith Williams will use almost all these wide receivers every game, actually using their strengths. Yeah, I think there's a chance that we do that. I'm very excited to see how the rotations work at wide receiver, how the different schemes work. Are the Ravens going to come out with a bunch of different sets? Like, the 4 wide receiver set is, Tylan Wallace, Hollywood, Bateman, and Watkins. But the 3 wide receiver set is Duvernay, Bateman, and Hollywood. I don't really know, but and then the 2 wide receiver set is Hollywood and Watkins or something like that. It's going to be very interesting to see, what they do. When they come out in 22 personnel, when they come out with, in I form, when they're in shotgun, how I think that there's still a possibility. I said it a long time ago that Devin Duvernay lines up at running back for a couple of plays, and things like that they can utilize him there. I think that's something that he could really do. And he did it, I believe, a little bit at Texas. So, that's something that I've always liked about Devin Duvernay's game is he can actually play the running back spot. So, that's something to kind of think about. Shout out to the DJ. Thanks for the subscription, DJ. Shout out to you. Josh says, as long as none of them are from Michigan. Let's see. How do we have any Michigan players on the roster right now? We got rid of Bredeson. We didn't keep Ben Mason. I don't think we have any Michigan players on the roster, which is probably a good thing because no Michigan player ever works out in in Baltimore. Nut Nasty. The video has been going on for 35 minutes. We have been streaming for, but let's see here. Alex Baldwin says, should Ravens try for any of the surplus running backs right now? I don't think right now. I think they wait a little bit just to see, what's going on at the running back spot, just because Tyson Williams and, Gus Bus could be a great duo. And I think that the Ravens want to see what they can do. Now, if they go out and they're struggling to catch the ball or they're struggling, one gets hurt or something like that, and then they'll absolutely look into the market. But I don't think if the Ravens are going to go after somebody, it's going to be a running back. I just expect it to be somebody that, is in more of a position of need, because I don't feel like running back is as needed as I think a lot of people are thinking that it is. I think that the Ravens are more likely to go after like maybe an inside linebacker or let's see, who else could they go after? Defensive line, maybe an offensive lineman. Those are the type of players that I think that they were more likely to go after rather than going on for like a running back or a wide receiver, even though there are some good wide receivers that are out there, like Des Fitzpatrick getting cut. But, just going to be interesting to see what they do. Let's see here. Also, shout out to 170 people in here. That's like I'm pretty sure that's definitely the most that's ever been in one of our streams. So shout out to all of you being in the stream, having a good time, talking about the roster, bringing up good questions and such. But I see Russell Williams says O-line. Yeah, O-line's definitely a spot to maybe go look at. I think the Ravens should absolutely bring in Mcsorley, cut by the Dolphins. Just kidding. That was a joke. Don't click off the video because I said that. But, overall, we'll see. But shout out to Josh Howie, from the UK and stuff like that. Absolutely shout out, to all the international people that watch the streams and stuff like that. And the DJ says that I 100% agree with this. Any halfback that plays with Lamar will be that guy. Absolutely. I think people really don't realize the impact that Lamar Jackson has on the run game. Because even when he just hands the ball off and it's not even a, read option or anything like that, just a handoff, that outside edge rusher, that defensive end has to play Lamar. That takes one guy off the defensive line every single time you run the football. And if they don't stay there, then Lamar takes it. And then you get, one guy less on the outside. And that just taking away one defender automatically every time you run the football is just a massive benefit that no other team in the NFL can really utilize unless they have a mobile quarterback. So the only teams that can really do it, Kyler a little bit. He doesn't run as much. He scrambles a lot more than he does like more quarterback designed runs. The only guy right now, or there's probably two guys in the NFL, actually three guys that I can think of in the NFL right now that every play you may be concerned if it's going to be a run or a pass. So other than Lamar, obviously. The first I would say is Trey Lance in San Francisco. The second I would say is Justin Fields in Chicago. And then the other one would be Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. However, he doesn't run on designed runs as much as, a lot of other players. And I see Russell Williams asked, what's up with the Packers jersey in the closet? I love Aaron Rodgers. I absolutely love Aaron Rodgers. So that's why I got the Packers jersey in there. It's a Rodgers jersey. There's also a Jerry Rice cake jersey in there. So as the Alex Baldwin says, Skur is so good. Yeah, we should just bring him back. He's just a top tier center. Robert Jackson says we should have brought Tavon Austin home. Tavon Austin, I mean, he's really just a return man. And I feel like having one roster spot for just a return man isn't something that the Ravens really need, because it's just not that important, because returns are just so much less. Like 10 years ago, having a designated returner was like, yeah, do it every time, do it. But now with all the different rule changes and such, there's just less returns. It's less impactful to have a great returner. So, and I think Devin Duvernay's good enough at it to the point where we don't have to be like, oh, we need to get somebody that's really good. Because we've done that. We've gone out and gotten guys, DeAnthony Thomas, Devin Hester, to come in and be our return man. And they don't help us that much. And they're really just those guys basically overall. Like that, they're not that good. The best guy we ever had was obviously Jacoby Jones, but we didn't get him as like a free agent or anything like that. But Clint Walker says Austin was great at West Virginia. Yeah, tremendous at West Virginia. But in the NFL, he was just a returner. He was a returner and a kind of a trick play kind of specialist. You need an end around, a reverse, or something like that, jet sweep. You could put him in there, get him in open space. Was the entire thing with Tavon Austin. And, sadly, that's kind of how we use Devin Duvernay. I wish we didn't. Hopefully we use him more in just like regular passing schemes and such. But, we'll find out. Kale says, I hope that Ardarius succeeds in Baltimore. Absolutely. I love Ardarius Washington. I wanted to see what my initial thoughts on Ardarius Washington were. So I went back and listened to the video I made right after the draft on the undrafted players. And things I said about Ardarius Washington was, one, I just thought he was an absolute stud. Two, I said, this guy could absolutely switch over to nickel and play nickel for us, which are like two things that like he's probably going to be doing. So I'm very happy that, it's overall, just a lot of things that we can look at and a lot of players that, obviously I hope everybody in Baltimore succeeds, overall. But I see YPC says, can't believe they kept Miles Boykin over Pernon, Mcfee, and Levine. So if Miles Boykin was cut, I believe he would have probably had to clear waivers. But Pernon, Mcfee, and Anthony Levine don't have to clear waivers. And Benjamin Victor, I think will clear waivers. I don't think he's a guy that people will look at and be like, oh, we got to get Benjamin Victor. I think he'll be able to be on the practice squad. If Miles Boykin didn't make the team, he would not clear waivers and somebody would pick him up. So we can just put him on IR, week one, and then possibly add him to IR, this week, and then pick back up Levine and Purnell, because I think that was a wink cut. Hey man, we're cutting you. You'll be back. Don C says, let's go. Let's go GTB Ravens media, or Makana, who's speaking now, and Joshua, who looks like nose tackle. 100 likes, everyone at 60 likes now. Let's go. Yeah, let's get to 100 likes. Let's do it. Let's see how many we can get to. I think 100 likes would definitely break the record for what we've ever had, but overall, see how many we can get. It's Char says, why is this season like 2015 again? I don't know. Why do you think it's like 2015? I'd like to hear about that. Robert Jackson says Devin Hester robbed us, went to Seattle, and started acting completely different immediately. I don't know. I think Hester we knew wasn't going to be. I mean, we weren't getting Bears Hester. We were getting former Falcons Hester, and Falcons Hester I think only had like 2 return touchdowns, or maybe it was 1. I know we set the record on the Falcons with a punt return touchdown, but. Joshua says I played outside linebacker, tailback, and defensive end. Lol. And then Jason Moyer says, when will Pernon Mcfee be back with the Ravens? I would expect later this week. When the Ravens put someone on IR, Pernon Mcfee's going to be back. Unless for some reason another team just offers him like a really good contract or something and he leaves, but I don't really expect that to happen. So I fully expect it to be him to probably be back this week or maybe early next week. So he'll be back here before the start of the season. So don't worry. The Flock Block. Shout out to the Flock Block. Co-captain Purnell will most likely be back. Absolutely. Yes, Cherish. CoCap and Pernon Mcfee contracts were terminated. However, the benefit is they do not need to clear waivers. They can just be re-signed by the Ravens whenever. So they'll be re-signed once we are able to put guys on IR. So we will see. And then Alex Baldwin says Bateman is on short-term IR. Yep. Only has to miss about 3 weeks. And that's, all that really matters. And his injury won't be less than 3 weeks. So he was going to miss that anyway. So once he comes back, we may cut somebody. If somebody else gets hurt, put them on IR, just kind of move throughout the season, just keeping all the guys that we can. But let's see here, looking at the questions. But Joshua says having a return specialist does give the team a burst of energy and changes the momentum of a game. Yeah, whenever you get like a big return and stuff like that is nice. It's just like there aren't any like true return specialists anymore. Just because of how many rule changes there have been. Like the return kickoffs, they're designed to go high and short, and then the guys are basically, hit pretty quickly. Like it's just not like it was, back when the yards were at the 30-yard line instead of the 35, having the Josh Cribbs, the Devin Hesters, the Cordero Pattersons, the Percy Harvins. That was like a massive benefit. But now it's like you may not even get a chance the entire game to return a punt or a kick because they just don't let you do it, which kind of sucks. I love returns. Those are some of the most fun things to watch. Kale Nickerson says, any update on the Tamarion Terry situation? So Tamarion Terry, undrafted free agent out of Florida State. He went to the Seattle Seahawks. He got cut from the Seattle Seahawks a while ago, actually. I don't think he ever even played in the preseason. I don't think anybody ever picked him up after he was dropped by Seattle. I'm going to look it up right now, but I remember when he got cut by Seattle. Let's see here. Yeah, so he was also indicted on a murder charge. So yeah, I don't think that I didn't even know about that part. So yeah, I don't think we're getting Tamarion Terry. Wow, I had no idea. All I knew was that he was cut. Wow. He was charged with felony murder. Well, I guess that's yeah, not getting Tamarion Terry. All right. All I knew was that he was cut. I had no idea that there was a murder charge out there on him. But Lisa says cut down day makes absolutely no sense at all. Why does it not make sense to you? Is it because the moves that they make don't make very much sense, or is it because just having the cut down day doesn't make sense from the NFL standpoint? Which side do you think? And then Tony Poljan was cut. However, it's expected he'll clear waivers and be added back to the practice squad. The tight end out of University of Virginia, former quarterback as well. I want to say he's like 6'7". I liked him. He was an interesting undrafted free agent guy. But let's see here. Buff Snow says, would Justice Hill be on the team if J.K. Dobbins was healthy? I believe so. I do believe so. I think that Justice Hill would be there. I think Tyson Williams would probably also be there just because Justice Hill is just so good on special teams that you got to need him. So I think that Hill would be there if even if Dobbins was healthy. So I don't know. That's what I'm kind of thinking. I see we got 79 likes right now. That that's one of the highest we've ever gotten during a stream. But let's see what guys can we How high can we end up getting it? But let's see here. Is it Renaud or Renaud says, should NFL roster size be expanded? I don't think so. I think having the smaller roster makes it easier for other teams that struggle with roster building to actually get good players. So when you look at, a team like the Jets or something like that, where they're not very great at drafting, but like teams like the Ravens are very good at drafting. Like if the roster size was just like 60 or 65, like the amount of just like, you wouldn't be able to get free agents very well. Like it would just be way harder to keep. And also the salary cap would have to be raised significantly if that happened. And I don't think the NFL really wants to do that. Josh Howie says, feel like the Joker is prepped for a big season. Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely doing that. I think this could be the year where he really goes back to the guy that he was at Texas, getting those interceptions, making those big hits, all those types of things that we got to see out of him when we first drafted him, and we never really got to see. I mean, last year was really his first full year in the NFL. So I do think that, he will be ready for a big season, which kind of sucks for the Ravens because that means that he's going to get a big payday and such and then probably leave. But, that's always, interesting to see. The Flock Block asks, do you see the Ravens adding a Le'Veon Bell if available? I don't think the Ravens add a Le'Veon Bell because of the locker room issues. Fit-wise, with his talent and his play style, I actually think he is a really good fit for the Ravens. But John Harbaugh being an Andy Reid coaching tree member and Le'Veon Bell vocally hating Andy Reid, I just don't think either of them would really want to go to the other. So that's why I don't think it would really work out. But that's just my thoughts on it. But his play style would be amazing on the Ravens, I think. And then Renaud says next day to get an expansion team or relocated one. So I've heard Buffalo is potentially a team that could get relocated because they want the city of Buffalo to build them a new stadium, and the city of Buffalo isn't really budging and doing it. And so I've heard that they're looking into like Austin, or something like that. There's a chance. I know Anthony would love if they went to Toronto, or something like go into Canada, make it more international. I don't really love making it international. I don't really think that should happen just because there's already a Canadian football league. So it kind of makes that a little bit weird. But in terms of cities, I feel like St. Louis should get one. I don't know. I always thought the Rams there was pretty solid. St. Louis could be an interesting place to get one. Let's see. What's another just big city that doesn't have one? I mean, heck, even a place like Louisville or somewhere in Kentucky. I don't think it would be in a major state or anything like that. I think it'd be kind of a Midwest type team. Maybe like Oklahoma. Or let's see. Yeah, I feel like Oklahoma could possibly be one, but I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I know people say Portland. I'm from Portland. Portland should not have an NFL team. They wouldn't be able to withstand it whatsoever. So not Portland, I guess, would be my answer. Kim Neal says OKC would be good. I think OKC would actually be pretty good. Robert Jackson says, you look like Gardner Minshew, by the way, though. I was Gardner Minshew for Halloween one year. Love Gardner Minshew, so I will take that as a compliment. Let's see here. Dwayne Hunter asks, well, first, Cam Neal says, I'm from Kansas. Chiefs aren't even in Kansas. Yeah, Chiefs are in Missouri, which makes no sense, which is really weird. I've never really understood that. But, shout out to Kansas City not being in Kansas. But Dwayne Hunter asks, what's up with Jalen Ferguson, a.k.a. Sack Daddy? He made the team. I think, the comments that Wink Martindale made on him, he's a big fan of him. He felt like he played very well. And once I kind of heard that, I was like, you know what? I feel like the Ravens do end up keeping him. I had him on my 53-man roster prediction. But, you know, I mean, he's a really good – I think he's still a guy that has a lot of potential. And I think a lot of people gave off on him too early. Now he finally has a guy that he can, look at as a mentor in Justin Houston. He's never really had that. I don't think Matthew Judon's the best guy to be mentoring a guy on how to get sacks. He can mentor you on how to stop the run, which is what he did, and that's why Jalen Ferguson's good at stopping the run, is because those are the guys that he was around. But now he finally has, a Yoda that he can go to in Justin Houston and really look at and analyze and become a much better player because of it. So, overall, that's what I think. And Russell brings up Bills owners ask for public financing for a new $1.4 billion 60,000 seat stadium today. Oh wow, they did that today. I saw a couple days ago, seeing they really wanted a stadium and stuff like that. But I love new stadiums. New stadiums are so cool. But Cam Neal says OKC better than St. Louis. St. Louis will be good, but they already have a team. Kansas City. I don't know. I just always liked the St. Louis Rams. I always liked them better in St. Louis, but yeah, they had a team really recently, so it makes it a little bit difficult. But yeah, I think OKC would be really interesting. I'm an OKC Thunder fan, so it'd be kind of funny because I would, root for OKC Thunder, and then I would just not care about the football team in OKC at all. But here's an interesting question. Patrick Silverman, shout out to Patrick's in the stream. Guys, watch out. But he says New Mexico team would make the NFL a bunch of money. I don't know. Is Mexico really that big on it? Where would you put it? Albuquerque? What would they be? The Albuquerque or the New Mexico? Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's a big enough place in New Mexico to do a team. I think Albuquerque would be the biggest place unless somebody wanted Santa Fe. But I don't know. I don't think New Mexico is really the spot to do it. But I don't know. Maybe. What about Montana? I mean, actually, no. There's really not many people in Montana, so that's probably a bad idea. Let's see. If Boykin thinks he's gonna trot his way into our hearts this year, he's wrong. I don't know. Boykin's shown flashes. He's shown flashes. So I think that there's a chance that a lot of people are proven wrong about him. However, I don't think that if he's used as a wide receiver 3, he's going to disappoint a lot of people. If he's used as a wide receiver 5 or 6, I think he'll surprise a lot of people. So it just depends on how he's used and, overall. And I see Renaud says, put a team in New Hampshire, Mexico City, or Hawaii. So one of the difficulties of doing Hawaii is just the traveling. The traveling is very difficult. That would literally add, because the farthest travel time that you could get is if you went from Buffalo, I guess, to Los Angeles would probably be the farthest travel time, I would say. Let's see here. So Buffalo to New York, I want to say it's about 9 hours. You guys can correct. I've never flown from Buffalo to Los Angeles. But then if you add in Hawaii, that adds in another 2 or 3 hours. That's 12 hours of travel time to get to another place. So I don't think that Hawaii would be very good. New Hampshire would be tough just because the entire New England area is New England. And that stuff. And I don't think that going international is going to be while yes, it would be very interesting to incorporate. We see it work in the NBA with the Toronto Raptors, and they used to have the Vancouver Grizzlies. But one of the things that's very difficult is no offense against Mexico City, I wouldn't want to live in Mexico City. I don't think a lot of American people would want to live in Mexico City. It's just it's just very different, and they speak a different language in Mexico, and I think that's very difficult to put people. And then also you have to deal with getting everybody work visas, Then they have to figure out how to get housing, and like it's way more difficult when you add in the international aspects to it, in terms of travel and customs and getting the job there, and then not speaking. Like I know a lot of people in Mexico can speak English, but like you wouldn't be able to. It would not be a fun place to go if you couldn't speak Spanish. It would just be very difficult. So I don't think Mexico City. I think it's more likely to go into Canada, just because in Canada, other than in Quebec, they speak English. So, that's what I'm thinking. But New Mexico team would have fewer fan base because of the Raiders and the Cowboys. Yeah, that's definitely where a lot of people are fans of the Raiders and such. But I see Don C, always pushing for more likes. Shout out to Don C. Let's try and get it to 100 likes. Let's see if we can do it. There's always a chance. We're almost there. We're really almost there. But Brett says Boykin's softer than Roseanne's son. Oh man. and Robert Jackson says what flashes. Biggest flash that I can see is the Seattle game, the big reception against Seattle, and then the Dolphins game. Like he's had plays where like he looks like, oh, that's what he can be. Like he's redirected, gone up the field, made a big catch, done that, and been like, oh wow, that's the Miles Boykin that we wanted. But yeah, I mean, he's also shown flashes of not being good. So overall, I think it's kind of off and on. But it's tough. But let's see here. A lot of people are talking about international stuff. Let's see. Oh, it looks like I think we hit 100. We hit 100 likes. So shout out to everybody in the stream hitting 100 likes. It's the first time ever hitting 100 likes on a stream. But Robert Jackson says Baltimore needs a basketball team before any of that stuff happens. I mean, so for me, I don't live in Baltimore. I know the Washington Wizards obviously used to be in Baltimore as the Baltimore Bullets. But like, is that what, people from Baltimore would want? Would be like the Wizards to get there, or to overall go, all the way. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting, but do you guys have any other questions about the roster or anything like that? If so, I'm fine continuing. I mean, been streaming for about an hour, but we'll see. What's going on? The Flock Block says the Baltimore Ballers. What about the Baltimore Basketballs? I think that would outdo the Washington football team. Would be the Baltimore Basketballs. I think that is the top tier name. The Baltimore Basketballs. I think we start a petition to outdo the. And Robert Jackson says it cannot be a violent name though. So not the Baltimore Bullets, I'm guessing, but that would make, I don't know. Do you guys think that teams should have alliteration in it when you're creating a new team? Because I've always liked the teams that have like subtle hidden meanings. Like I've always liked like the Ravens, the subtle nod to Edgar Allan Poe and such, But then there's also the teams where it's just like, the Washington Wizards, where it's overall. But let's see. Renaud says, are you concerned with Nick Boyle not being a solid contributor coming back from injury? I'm not that concerned about it, just because what he does is he blocks. He doesn't need his athleticism as much, to be able to block those guys. But that's just very tough to do. Just come back and be 100% healthy. But I feel like blocking wise, I think he'll be fine. And that's really all that we need out of him, because Josh Oliver can catch. And heck, Patrick Ricard can, go into the flats and catch. And Boyle doesn't run too crazy of a route tree or anything like that. So wouldn't be too that wild. And Cyprian says dangerous everywhere, but Mexico City is dangerous for foreign citizens. Yes, that is very true. Robert Jackson says probably would be crab related. What about the Baltimore Leviathans? If you didn't know, Leviathan is a deep sea mythological monster. It would be way better than the Seattle Kraken. Would be the Leviathans, but the Baltimore Diamonds. Lisa suggests that's not too bad. It also could be called like Maryland. It wouldn't have to just be called Baltimore. It could be Maryland. The Maryland. I don't know. Joshua says, "Stop it! This is not the lost city of Atlantis." It could be. It could be the lost city of Atlantis, but we'll see. There could be other names. The Baltimore Baristas. Oh man. Don C says we need to get rid of that crappy arena before anyone take us seriously. Royal Farms Arena is old and antiquated. The Baltimore Hawks, just take out the Atlanta Hawks and just take them. Like Trae Young who? There's a lot of good names. I think this is the one. The Baltimore Boykins. In honor of our wide receiver one. Baltimore Boykins. Oh my gosh. That's funny. Oh man. The Baltimore Boykins. I forgot about that. Joshua forgot about the Atlanta Hawks. Before the Ravens became our official name, we were actually almost called the Baltimore Bombers. Yes, almost the Baltimore Bombers, but Ravens is just too good. The Blue Crabs. I don't know. What about the Maryland Mariners? What about that? Like I'm pretty sure a mariner though is like a merman or something like that. But don't may be stealing the Seattle Mariners team name, but Maryland Mariners, not too bad. Renaud asks, is M&T Bank Stadium easy to get to? Would you put it somewhere else if you could move it? I have no idea. Never been to M&T Bank Stadium, so somebody else in the chat can answer that question because I do not know. Never been out to Baltimore. Not yet. I'll be there at some point. One day. One day I'll get there. But Den's Troy says the blue crab sounds like an STD. It definitely does sound like an STD. It's definitely not. Definitely not the best name now that I think about it, because it does sound like that. Let's see here. Don C says the bank is very easy to get to. Robert Jackson, that's where you from? From Portland. So Portland has no football team, so I became a Ravens fan. So that's so I guess M&T Bank Stadium, according to everybody in the chat, very easy to get to. So that's good. So shout out to M&T Bank Stadium being easy to get to. Joseph Altitude says Maryland, the only place where you see a "We have crabs" sign and then go in. Robert Jackson asks, how did you become a Ravens fan? Not 100% sure. My only assumption is, as like a really little kid, my favorite color was always purple. My first jersey was a Steve McNair Ravens jersey. So, like 2006, I guess I became a Ravens fan. But yeah, I would assume it's because they're purple, and I have no idea why I picked them over the Vikings. I don't know. But I guess I don't know. I wasn't like, I don't remember ever having like a conscious decision, like just being like, oh, this is my favorite team. I just can always remember being a Ravens fan, and I don't know why. But yeah, that's my story. It's not super interesting. Luis says, what team do you support in college football? The best team in the country, the Stanford Cardinal. Just kidding, not the best team in the country, but I support the Stanford Cardinal. But Eric Jackson says, how does Boykin make the roster? Since he didn't play in the preseason, I feel like the Ravens still wanted to give him a chance. I feel like if he struggles after that, then he goes out. I actually really like this name, the Steamers. I'm not too upset about that. The Baltimore Steamers isn't too bad. That's a good name. Josh Howie says his first and only game he ever went to was in England. Doubt they'll be coming back. Ooh, who did they play in England? Did they play the Jaguars in England? I want to say. I'm pretty sure they played the Jaguars. Let's see. I think the Ravens have only played once in England, so I think I may be wrong on that, but yeah, it was New England. Lisa says USC is your favorite team in college football. USC, man, I don't like USC. USC is too good. They're too good. Eric Jackson, 100% right. It's a procedural move for Mcfee. Yep, absolutely. We'll just bring him back at some point, but let's see here. Do we now have to keep 3 quarterbacks? No, we do not. We only kept 2 quarterbacks, only Trace and Lamar. I mean, I'm sorry, not Trace, Tyler Huntley. We did not keep Trace. Sorry. But we got smoked that game 38-10. We got curb stomped. I'm trying to remember that game. That it wasn't the game against the Jaguars where the Ravens got screwed out of the field goal against the Jaguars. It was the one like before or after that. It was rough. Luis is a Hoosiers fan. Eric Jackson is correct. Yeah, they don't have to clear waivers or anything like that, so it's not as much of a risk as other players when we get cut. But let's see. Mcfee will come in for Bateman. Levine will come in for Boykin or Boyle. Yeah, I think so. When that happens, we'll be able to see it. But we'll see. We'll see what's able to happen with those guys. But I'm just looking over the 53-man roster. Christian Welch made the team. I didn't talk about that at all, but Christian Welch, I like Christian Welch. He was an undrafted player last year, ended up playing a couple games for the Ravens. I do like him. I think that's actually an interesting thing. I didn't even bring that up, but good for him for making the team. But I don't know. Is there any other questions you guys got? Otherwise, I'm probably going to hop off. Can probably answer a couple, maybe 1 or 2 more questions. So if you guys want to ask them, go for it. I don't know how to pronounce this, but he asks, what's your wide receivers looking like? Who's on the list? So the wide receiver core right now, Hollywood, Watkins, Bateman, Duvernay, Prochet, Wallace, and Boykin would be the wide receivers. So it's actually a lot better than it's been in recent years. So I'm fine with that. Definitely fine with it. So definitely helps. Don C says 44-7 against the Jaguars in 2017. Yeah, 44-17 against the Jaguars in that was a rough game. Robert Jack says, if you don't own some sort of memorabilia, I despise the Trailblazers, actually. I'm an OKC fan. So, but I actually do. I have like a Blazers t-shirt, and my stepbrother has 2 team signed basketballs, but they're in like the room that I used to record when I'm at my parents' house. And they're in the background. But that's so I have like a 2017 team signed ball, which has Lillard's signature on there. And then I also have one from when Brandon Roy was on the team. But they're my stepbrothers, but he just keeps them in there. Lisa asks, what do you think about the taunting rule is stupid. I hate taunting. Taunting is the stupidest penalty in the NFL. Like, by far the stupidest penalty. I hate it. Like, I think it's the dumbest thing ever. I don't know of anybody who likes taunting penalties. Is there anybody in the NFL that sees a guy like flex on somebody and they're like, oh, I don't like that. They should be thrown out of the game. Who says that? Like, there's nobody that would watch football, that enjoys football watching it, and it's just like, that guy shrugged his shoulders. Oh, that's too mean. Like, these guys go out there and put all their energy and effort into playing football and smacking people. Let them talk. Let them show emotion. Like, those are the best parts about the NBA is when you see a guy going after it in the NBA, because you can see him talking, but you can tell when NFL players are mad at each other, because what's annoying is, like, if they don't target their celebration at somebody, Ezekiel Elliott gets that first down. He walks next to 5 guys eating that cereal, right? Mark Andrews gets that first down. He sprinkles and he throws it, right? Like, it's just, it's so stupid. Yeah, Josh was definitely right about this. Wow, I missed the click twice. Most childish penalty you could ever make. Yeah, it's just like, it's dumb. It's one thing if, like, I understand like the really excessive ones, like if you like pull out props or something like that, I can understand that. The Joe Horn cell phone under the goalpost, like that type of stuff for taunting, I guess. Maybe if there was it was only like inappropriate gestures, like the Key and Peele Hingle McCringleberry hip thrust, but Randy Moss like shooting the moon to the crowd. I've always loved celebrations and stuff like that, but it's stupid. It's really stupid. Yeah, like Talon Walls literally scored, crossed his arms, and looked at the guy. Like, I would do that. That's like a normal thing to do. Like, what? Why can't they do that? It's so stupid. That and the NFL and NBA, just how they do it. Like NBA now, people get technicals for taunting when they just like talk to each other or yelling after they get like a and one. And they're like, yeah, and one, you're trash. And then they're like, oh, technical. It's stupid. It's so bad. And yeah, Jacksonville was nice that year, except for Blake Bortles. Other than Blake Bortles. Taunting rule is horrible. Even the guys already received fines during the preseason. Yeah, they did. It's so stupid. But all right, I think that's pretty much going to do it. That's going to wrap up the stream. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. That was like one of the biggest streams we've ever done on this channel. So thank you, everybody, for coming in, for supporting, for just having a good time talking Ravens football. But I think that's pretty much going to do it. And I'll see all of you again tomorrow with another video. And then, hopefully I think Josh and I will try and live stream this weekend. Don't know exactly what we'll talk about, but we'll see if we can. But then if we don't end up doing it, then the next stream would be Monday night before and after the Raiders game. So, all right, everybody, thanks for joining. I'll see all of you again next time.